What's up guys, Thomas with Real Estate of Mind here. Now we're going to talk about a very important subject, and that's how you can stop paying your rent or mortgage. Now that sounds amazing, right? Well, not so much, because if you can't pay your rent or your mortgage, chances are you're probably disrupted by the virus. Now, if you're like me, you've probably received hundreds of notifications from media outlets talking about mortgage and rent forbearance or the suspension of those payments. But before you lock yourself in your house and bust out the mimosas, there's a lot of fine print that I feel you need to know. Since I'm a licensed mortgage lender and a seasoned real estate investor, I thought it'd be good for me to walk you through this fine print so you can be prepared if you find yourself in such a situation where you can't pay rent or your mortgage. In this video, I'll be teaching you how to set yourself up for success if you truly are disrupted and cannot make that rent or mortgage payment. Now, if that sounds good to you, make sure to hit the like and subscribe. Now, first things first. Back in March of 2020, Congress passed legislation prohibiting all foreclosures and evictions of properties that have a mortgage backed by the federal government. Now, that sounds great, right? Well, not so fast. As it turns out, only half of all properties have a federally backed mortgage. Don't worry, in the description we'll have a link to how you can search to see if your property fits that criteria. Now, what about the rest of us? Not all is lost. Fortunately, many cities and state governments stepped up to the plate and they issued their own moratoriums on all foreclosures and evictions. States like California and New York have paused all foreclosures. The city of Los Angeles suspended all evictions and foreclosures for 60 days after this emergency moratorium. So fortunately, 34 states and dozens of cities have enacted their own moratoriums. So chances are you're covered and in luck. Most commonly, renters and homeowners are able to rearrange those mortgage payments over a 12-month period, which is great. Prepare for success. Step 1, research the moratoriums in your area and know your rights. And step 2, open communication is key. The second you realize that you can't make your mortgage payment or your rent, contact your lender and landlord. The guidance really is you should be doing it within 7 days of the payment due date. Now, for the mortgage companies, their call centers are disrupted just like the rest of us. So it may take a few tries or days to get in contact with them, but just know that you have 30 days from the day your mortgage payment is due before it's actually reflected as late on your credit report. And nowadays, these type of agreements, from what I've read and understand, it should only take a little bit of time, maybe a few days, for it to get approved. Whereas in the last recession with short sales, it was a paperwork nightmare from what I understand and what I heard from other consumers and borrowers. Homeowners, contact your mortgage servicer, and their information is on your mortgage statement that you receive every month. For renters, communicate a payment plan that works for you. That way you don't have to revisit it again. For instance, I had a tenant reach out to me and propose a payment plan that worked for them, and I accepted it. I was more than happy to take it because I realized that tenants are the #1 asset a landlord has. Now, the big question, does this mean that tenants and homeowners don't ever have to make those rent or mortgage payments? Well, the sad truth is that those payments are still due. And depending on what you work out with your landlord or your mortgage bank, it varies. They could push it back to the end of your term or to the end of 12 months and then it's due. So you still have to pay it. You still owe it. And if you can pay it now, it's probably best if you make the payments now rather than having to make 2 or 3 months on top of your current payment later down the road. And let's not forget, renters and homeowners are the #1 asset for banks and landlords. So it's important for us to work together until this all passes. Just look at this as an opportunity to take a deep breath and pause, reflect, and grow personally as well as professionally. Now, if this video was very helpful to you, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. And if you want to see what it's like a day in the life flipping properties and investing in income properties, make sure to follow me on Instagram, Real Estate of Mind LA.